If you thought that stepping into an endless maze of damp, yellow carpets and buzzing fluorescent lights was just a niche internet phase, this cinematic glitch is about to trap you in a permanent state of psychological paralysis. Backrooms comes in at a 89% on the tomato meter, 74 by the audience. Wow. People like this film a little bit less for the audience out there. And I think it's because it's delivering some familiar stuff to fans of Backrooms that started off as kind of as an internet kind of meme kind of thing. Okay, here's these Backrooms that just seem to go on and on. There's some context, there's some lore in there, and this movie tries to set that up for you, but it seems to also set up a very much a movie in a traditional sense of, okay, here is our characters, here are the characters, and here's the setup, right? So Chiwetel Ejiofor stars, Kane Parsons directs. After a therapist patient disappears into a dimension beyond reality, she must venture into the unknown to save him. Now, Chiwetel Ejiofor plays a used furniture salesman, and then he finds the rooms in the basement of his place, and Renate Reinsve plays Mary. The acting in here is good for what it is. It's one of those movies where, okay, we don't need a whole lot of substance as to knowing what's driving the motivations behind these characters. But they set it up in such a way that, okay, it's a period piece, sort of, because there's older technologies with the camcorders and stuff like that. But that's paying homage to the original series that had that kind of aesthetic to it, right? So it is paying some fans off in the way that they would like. And I think it's all done fairly well. There is moments in here, though, that you'll be watching them go through these rooms, and it's all handheld, shaky kind of stuff where for a few moments it was like, this is almost like Blair Witch, where I got to take my eyes off of it because it's just shaking around too much. But that's just minor. It really is. It goes into trying to give answers towards the end that I think will work for some people, but not everybody. It's one of those movies where you watch it and you're like, oh, I like the atmosphere of this movie. I like sort of what they're trying to set up here with these characters. And it is giving me answers towards the end here. It is saying stuff about what's really going on here. I just felt like, okay, is that it? And then when you're out of the movie, you're like, okay, now I sort of see what they're doing. So you're not going to get that immediate satisfaction from the answers that they're giving for what's going on with these back rooms, how they're working and stuff like that. It's kind of like it needs a moment to settle, to be like, okay, now I sort of get what you're saying. And yeah, I had questions as to how this was working, but I guess they did sort of answer those questions. You just don't know if you like those answers, right? There's definitely a lot more here that they could sink their teeth into lore-wise and give us more. Like what's really going on with this company that's sort of like trying to figure this out. He's just kind of stumbled upon these rooms, but there seems to be a real government or company aspect to this that is trying to find answers to these back rooms. And we barely touched the surface level of that. And I think that's the main reason why the audience score is lower, because it's not really giving fans a full concrete answer. But when I look at this image here, I'm just like, this is cool. There's just something deeply psychological in here that just fires off in your brain where it's like, it looks normal, but it's not. And it's unsettling, and they really play into that, where it's like, this doesn't make sense, none of this really makes sense. And it's like, but it's eerie because you want to know what's around the corner. You want to know why is the ceiling like that, why is there doors on. It's just like, I want to know more. And that's one of the hallmarks of a good movie, is that it's making you say, I want to know what's really going on here, right? And I think that's what I felt coming out, thinking that, yeah, I think I really like this film. Now, is it one of the best horror movies of the year? No, but it's got to be in the conversation, because it's just eerie. And it leaves you with that weird feeling of just like, maybe something like this could exist. And it's just like, yeah, because of the answers that they were trying to establish. Okay, but let's go back to the tomato meter here, and then I'll give you my score and try to get some understanding as to how these come around from the critics and the audience. So, Sight and Sound says the young director's feature length version of his YouTube shorts stays true to its creepypasta origins, turning a wasteland of cheap furniture into an infinite hellscape that entraps the viewer along the Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve. You know what? They're talking about that hellscape there. There is something about the back rooms there, that like that whole concept of endless maze kind of stuff, that reminded me of like Hellraiser and the Labyrinth, right? Wall Street Journal. The movie's puzzle palace look and its boldly consistent color scheme conjure up a deep in the bones unease that much more experienced directors rarely manage to create. Backrooms may not be a fully explained wonder, but it's well worth the wander. Yeah, and that's sort of what I'm saying here, is that the atmosphere and the aesthetic is so intoxicating in its own right, where it's like you yourself almost imagine yourself standing next to the main characters and being like, okay, I'm just going to poke my head around the corner here and see what's going on down this corridor. Oh, there's nothing there. Okay, fine. It feels like that. Like they've been able to, they were able to capture that. And there is some character development here where he's going through a divorce and stuff like that, and she's this therapist trying to help him set it straight, and they try to put up that I guess cliche of, is he just all imagining it kind of thing, but no, obviously he's not, and he comes back with the proof, because that's how we get in that camcorder stuff, because he gets his friends there to camcorder all of the stuff and document what's going on. So like, it's really cool in the ways that they try to pay homage to the original source material, and that's what I found good about it. Other notable critics, Jeremy Johns says that it's probably more for those already initiated to the lore of the Backrooms. I don't know about that, Jeremy. I think it's giving some. You don't want to give an entire history lesson to the fan base already, but you also want to give enough meat for people out there who know some of the lore. I don't know all of the lore, but I know I've watched a few of them, and I know that there were monsters and stuff in there. I didn't know all the explanations for everything, so for me it worked. Uh, let's see if somebody who didn't like it here. Den of Geek. It is so determined to preserve and recreate the lore of its source material that the narrative and characters some become secondary and ultimately obligatory. Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's go down to the audience reviews. Somebody who did like it. If you're a fan of found footage movies like Grave Encounters, Hell House, Gone GM, then you'll love this movie. Well, it's not really found footage. They do put elements in there, but there's a lot of steady cam shots and tracking shots. It's just mixed with that shaky cam stuff. Messiah says, made no sense, no storyline, no plot, horrible actress. Really? I don't think so. Definitely not a horror movie, not even a thriller. Well, then, I don't know what you were smoking there, but I don't think you understand movies, so we can just totally disregard that one. Let's go to my score sheet, because I do understand movies. I see tons and tons of movies, guys. I analyze story structure, and you know how well in depth I do my analysis, which goes into acting, directing, and story out of a possible 2 points, cinematography and score out of 1 point. Normally, I would say that acting was serviceable here, but Chiwetel Ejiofor and that girl there, I can't, sorry, I don't want to butcher her name again, but they do a good job. And it's those two that really help, set the tone for that dread that we feel, right? And the directing, Kane Parsons, as his first big outing here, I think this is a good effort. This is a solid effort, because it's given me sort of what I wanted, a taste, and it's left me wanting more. So that's really good. And the story, as simple as it is, I think that there's some stuff going on here upon repeat viewings. People are going to find some Easter eggs in here that I think will be like, okay, so no, I think it did exactly what it was trying to do. Because they set things up in the beginning, and there's payoffs for the characters that were established. And I think that in itself makes the story somewhat interesting, even though it's a slow burn. It's a real slow setup, and it doesn't pay off as quickly as some people would like. Yeah, that's what I would say. Cinematography, I gotta give a full point to, because it's just, that's what sells it, right? And they captured it fairly well. The score, I think there's some notes in there from the actual shorts and stuff and like that, but people could pay homage to and be like, yeah, 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 but it serves the movie. And then watchability factor, if you're a fan of the shorts, if you are a fan of horror, it's definitely worth watching once. And then I would watch it again, because I just like that atmosphere. 7.5 out of 10 for Backrooms. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains.